My name's Ruth Dugdall and I'm going to be talking about my new novel, The Woman Before Me. The Woman Before Me is essentially a tale of three women, all joined by motherhood. The novel itself is about motherhood in all its guises. It's also about loss and love and questions of justice. The novel starts with Rose Wilkes in prison. She's been in prison for 4 years, convicted of killing another woman's baby. But Rose says she's innocent. Kate Austin, probation officer, has to write a parole report on Rose and decide if Rose is ready for release. The main criteria for this is Rose remorseful? But how can you be remorseful for a crime that you say you didn't commit? In order to write her parole report, Kate Austin asks Rose to tell her the story. Rose doesn't necessarily tell her story to Kate, but she does tell her story to us, the reader, through her black book entries. Her story really starts here in a seaside town in Suffolk. She moves here a young teenager. Her mother has just died and her father, having found a new girlfriend, no longer wants his gauche, strange teenage daughter around. So Rose comes here to live with Auntie Rita. Rita is an elderly woman, not in the best of health, and she's never had any children, but she loves Rose, and the two of them make a life for themselves here. Rose tells us in her black book entry that Rita's house was 2 train journeys away. She lived in Felixstowe, alone apart from her budgie Bill, in a battered end terrace within earshot of the North Sea. At night you could hear the music and loud shouts and laughter from the amusement arcade. She didn't treat me like a child. She never asked me where I was going or what time I'd be back, and she sent me out for chips or fags when other kids my age would be in bed. She didn't like to cook, and most nights she'd say, "Shall we have a saveloy for tea? Run to the corner, there's a pet." The stalls by the pier sold all the types of food I loved. Sausages, pasties and chips, fish, kebabs. The men who ran them all got to know me, would look at my thin blouse and throw in another helping for luck. So Rose and Rita are getting on quite well, but then Rita dies and Rose finds herself a job in a local seaside hotel. It's while working here in this seaside hotel that Rose meets Jason Clark. Jason is working behind the bar and he's the kind of man that would never look at Rose twice. He's attractive, he's from a different part of the country, he's travelled, he's gregarious. In short, he's the kind of man who is well out of Rose's league. But Jason's also very vulnerable. His wife left him, divorced him and married another man, and he's nursing his own depression, drinking too much and not sure what his future holds. Rose recognises this and she makes her move. Although Jason would never normally look at a woman like Rose, they begin to have some kind of a relationship. He makes it clear from the start that he still loves his ex-wife Emma and that he can never love Rose, but Rose doesn't mind and she falls in love with Jason anyway. It was March and it rained every day for a week. The sky swaddled the town in grey mist. I took you to the beach where we watched the angry sea, tasted salt in our mouths. Head bent, hands deep in your pockets, you told me about Emma, your ex-wife. I had no idea then how much she mattered. You said she was a beauty, a slight whistle on the wind, like you were thinking of a prize gelding you once saw race. I knew about men and beautiful women. I'd seen how one had stolen Dad away. Mrs. Karen's beauty had been manufactured from bottles and peroxide, her body wrapped in silk and drenched in scent. My mother's beauty was too subtle to hold him, too pale and distant. We bought coffees from a kiosk, needing to hold something warm, and we kept the hot steam close to our faces. Spring had forgotten to arrive. I went to the public loo, feeling the temperature drop by degrees in the stone building. I briskly rinsed my hands in icy water, splattered the mirror as I shook them dry. I caught my reflection briefly and then looked closer. No, I wasn't beautiful. My hair wasn't a style and just hung around my face. My eyes were brown like mud and my skin was pale. At best, I was plain. So plain that if you hadn't been so hurt, you would never have looked at me twice. But my plainness, my tall, awkward body would help me. Emma had left you for another man, but I never would. I would always be grateful for any interest you might show. A woman like me could never hurt you. Jason and Rose embark on a one-sided relationship, and Jason is about to leave Rose when she plays her ace card. She is pregnant. After an argument with Jason, Rose doubles in pain. She ends up here in hospital with a ruptured uterus, and her baby son is born poorly and taken straight to intensive care. Rose herself has had to have an emergency hysterectomy and is in a bad way. On the hospital ward is another woman who befriends Rose. This other woman is everything that Rose isn't. She's friendly, she's happy, she's attractive, she's got a healthy son, a loving husband. Rose realises that the woman who's befriending her is Emma, Jason's ex-wife, and the woman before her. Sadly, Joel dies, but Luke is thriving, and Rose leaves this hospital a bereft woman. Arriving home, she isn't coping very well. She succumbs to depression, doesn't know what to do with herself, and it's only a trip to the local shops that saves her when she accidentally bumps into Emma and Luke. The friendship is rekindled, and it's Rose's relationship with Emma that actually keeps her going. She becomes a surrogate mother for Luke and visits the house every day, helping Emma with daily chores and actually growing to love Luke as if she were also his mother. Rose tells us, "In our flat, the emptiness smothered me, and sitting in the nursery left me desolate. When I was home, I longed to be with Luke, with the comfort of his baby smells, the sight and such touch of new life. I had become Emma's best friend, and she was glad of my visits, glad to share the drudgery of changing nappies, the messy feeding, the rocking to sleep, the general boredom of having a baby. She would tut when he pooed and groan when he posited. She found Luke to be a burden. The best moments came when Emma was called to the phone or went to lunch, and Luke and I were alone. Emma was always happy to leave the room and make herself busy elsewhere. He was always so peaceful in my arms. In those moments, he was my little boy." When Luke dies tragically in a house fire, Rose is arrested and eventually convicted of killing him. But she maintains her innocence throughout the 4 years of her imprisonment, and now she must convince us and Kate Austen that she is not guilty. But if she didn't start the fire, then who did? And is Rose Wilkes really as innocent as she appears? To find out, you'll have to read The Woman Before Me.